All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Collaborative Supply Portal Basic Setup webinar. If you can hear me, please raise your hand. All right. I see a lot of hands going up. Oh, everybody was waiting on it. Everybody was fast. All right. Thank you. All right. Very good. And I'm assuming you can see my screen as well. All right. All right. Very good. So here we go. My name is Lori McNeely, and joining me is Ed Conry and Nandu Gopalan answering questions. And if you have a question, please use that question box. We'll try to get to them as we go throughout the webinar. Here's where you can find that on your GoToWebinar control panel. And also regarding the raising your hand, here's where you can find that raise your hand icon. We will be recording this. In fact, we're recording it right now. And we will have this available on our help site so that you can view it in the future. And the next one's going to be on Thursday, September 17th at noon Central. We will not be having one in July. I think a lot of folks take vacations or maybe it's back to school, so we'll skip August, and our next one will be September. And we are doing these in version 7.7 or higher. Today will be the or higher. And today we're going to go over some of the basic setup steps for the collaborative supply portal or the supplier module. We're going to have a survey question. We'll give you the result of that. And now we're ready to jump right in. For the setup order, when you're just starting a new work center or maybe a new plant, there's a nice order that things should follow. The very first thing you're going to want to do is set up your user groups. And we have had a prior webinar on that. It is on our help site under the webinars section. So we will not go through this portion today. Next, you would add your users, and we will be going over adding users today. After you have your user set up, then you're ready to set up your rules and alerts. And we do have 2 prior webinars on rules and alerts. Then after you have those set up, you would want to update your calendar. The calendar obviously is very important because it takes into account the lead time and transit time for the suppliers. So calendar is extremely important, and we do have that webinar out there. After you do that, then you're ready to enter your suppliers or have the suppliers uploaded. And after you do your suppliers, then we're ready for the items, and we'll go through the suppliers and items in this webinar today. And I guess with that, we are ready for poll question number 1. I will go ahead and launch that. So are you currently using item and supplier sync through integration? So yes, maybe your ERP is sending that info to Ultriva, or maybe you're using the data load process, or you're entering it manually in Ultriva, or maybe you're not sure. Maybe someone else does a lot of that. So we'll give folks a few more seconds here to vote. I still see several coming in. All right, getting close. We'll give it about 5 more seconds here. All right. So we will go ahead and close this. And we will go ahead and share the results so everybody can see what is happening. So 45% of the folks, looks like their ERP is sending that information to Ultriva automatically. And we do have some folks that are using the data load process. We will be demonstrating some of that today. And we do have some people who are not sure and might need to find out how their information is getting entered. All right, thank you very much for that. All right, and now we're ready to just jump right in on our demo. So let's come over here to our test site that we're using.
Okay, so the first thing that we're going to show you today is how to add a user to Ultriva. We do this by going through our admin menu. We'll select the user option. And then we have the option here to add. And we can see any of our existing users in this screen as well. But we're going to add a new one. And once you click Add, there are a few fields that you need to fill out. They're denoted by the red star there. So we'll put in the person's first and last name, as well as their contact information, such as work phone number, email. Email is important. You know, if you want to use rules that get emailed to them or alerts that are emailed to them, this information needs to be populated. And then we can set a time zone. So if maybe this person works remotely, they're not in the same location as the plant or the work center that you're setting them up in, we could override that and set it to somewhere nice. Maybe they're even in Hawaii, who knows.
All right.
And then we need to give them a user ID. This can be anything you want. You know, it should be something preferably that's easy for them to remember. Maybe their email is a good option. And then we need to give them an account type. And these account types are our user groups that we briefly talked about earlier. There is another webinar out there on user groups. We can assign them the group, which is their role. So we'll call them a planner. And then we can assign them a wire code if we want. It's not a mandatory field though. And then we need to give them a default password, or kind of that initial password. We can set that again to whatever we want, should be secure. And then, and most importantly, we need to check the box that will force the user to change their password the first time that they log in. Once we've done that, we can click Save. And now we can see that we have a new user there created. A couple of other things that we want to go over on users are how do you disable a user? So let's say that somebody leaves the company. You don't want them to have access to Ultriva any longer. So we want to disable that username so that they can't log in. We could simply select their name, and we could click on that Disable button. Confirm that that's what we really want to do, and they will be disabled. If we want to see, you know, what users have been disabled in the past, we can go to More Options, and then the option that says Show Disabled and Locked, we'll click that. And we can see that we've got 3 users appearing in this list. 2 of these users have a red X in the status column there. That means that those have been disabled by someone. The second there, which is me, has a locked icon. And what that locked icon means is that someone has entered the password incorrectly too many times. So it's actually locked that account. This can happen for any various number of reasons. Maybe somebody forgot to turn off caps lock. So if this happens, we could unlock this user for them. This can happen pretty easily. So we'll go ahead and unlock my username. And then maybe I actually forgot my password, so I need to reset my password now. Or I want to reset my password or reset that person's password for them. We can click on Edit here. And down here in the password boxes, we can type in a new password. We do have to do it twice to make sure that it's the same. And then we'll check that box again. And that will force me to change my password when I log in. And hopefully this time I'll remember it. So it's a pretty simple process of adding that user to Ultriva. But let's say that you need to add 4 or 5 users. This becomes a little bit monotonous or tedious. So there is another way to add a user. And that would be by using a data load utility. So we're going to show you that as well. We can go to Admin, and then to our Tools menu. And then we have a data load section here. And in this data load section, there's a whole bunch of different data load utilities you can use. But we're going to focus on this user load. And once you click it, when this screen comes up, you have the option to download a sample file. So if you click this link, you can click Open, and it'll open in Excel. It'll open this file, and it'll give you an idea what data you need to populate the file with to get Ultriva to take this and load those users. And there are some notes in this one that say, which fields are mandatory, which fields are not, and some of them will tell you, what information you need to put in there if Ultriva is expecting something specific. So, kind of like a cooking show, we have prepared a user file for today's webinar. So you can see, same setup here. We do have our business code populated. That's where we're going to load these users if it's at a plant level or a work center level. We've populated their username and their contact information, as well as their roles. So you can see we have one plant administrator, one receiving dock user. We've set their password, and then in column J, that is the same as checking the box that says the user needs to change their password at the next login. So that will need to be a 1 if you want the system to flag them to do so. Once we've got our data populated, we're ready to save this file, and we're going to do a save as, and we're going to save it as a specific file type. This text tab delimited is the option you want to use. So we'll select that and save our file. Excel will always ask you this question. They just say yes. And then we're ready to go back to Ultriva. From the same screen that we downloaded our sample file from, if we select the Browse option, we can locate our user file that we just saved. And once we have selected that, we can click on the Upload Files button. And the system's going to show us our data. So we can see our 2 users, as well as the information that was in the file for each of those columns. As long as that looks good, we can hit Next. Now the system is telling us that it has imported that data successfully. You have one more chance here to kind of validate your data, make sure that it looks correct. If we're happy with that, we can click Finish. And now the system should be loading or has already loaded that information. We can go to the Integration Batch Job Status option and actually see what happened when we did that upload. We can select the job name, which would be UserSync, and then to make it simple, we can select today's date. We can show report, and we'll see that we had 1 batch that ran, and it completed successfully for 2 records. And if we go ahead and click that 2, we'll see that we've added 2 users and who those users are. But that status message tells you that they have been added. We could also go back to the admin and then user screen and see that those 2 users will be present. Perfect.
All right, so now that we have added our users, we can now
Lori, this is Nandu. We have 2 questions came in this session so far. The first question is, what is character limit for username? Typically, our first name and last name, it takes up to 32 characters each. The second question is how the security questions security question and answer used from the password change process. So currently what we are doing is we are just collecting that information. In the future release, what will happen is in case if the user account is locked or expired, the user can input the security question and unlock their account and start using that. So that is under development. That will be in the future release. That's all the questions I have.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right. So now we've added our users. At this point, someone would check the rules and alerts and add those, and also then update the calendar. And then after that, we are ready for our suppliers. So, obviously keep in mind, for those of you who are using integration, you would not necessarily need to do this step. We're just going through it for the benefit of those who might need this information. So once you get to admin supplier, we have several things here. We already have some suppliers associated here. So what you want to do when you're first starting out, if you're on another instance with someone else, whether they, some other work centers or some other plants, you're going to want to check to see if those other plants are already using the suppliers you're getting ready to enable, because you don't want to set up duplicate suppliers in the system. So what you would do is you would click on More Options, and then associate supplier. This is going to show us everyone that's already assigned, all of our suppliers assigned to us for All-Star International. But what we want to do is click the Show Unassigned Suppliers. So we look here at our unassigned suppliers. As you can see, we have over 700 of them here on the list. So, you know, the chances are maybe the supplier that we're getting ready to enable might already be on here. You know, if we wanted to, if we know the name, we could certainly do a search and type the name here. Or you can scroll until you find what you're looking for. And once you find your supplier or suppliers that you need to add, you just put a check mark, give it a supplier code or vendor code. And then look at some of these other options. You might want to change their label. We're going to choose the supplier 4x6 label. And the supplier will be shipping in Ultriva. So we're going to check mark this ship using shipment module, which means they're going to ship in Ultriva. We're going to leave this check marked, which means they are going to print labels using the eBot software. And maybe we have another supplier that we will want to assign as well. So we'll give them a supplier code, and we will choose the label as well. And then we just go ahead and click Assign. All right, so now these suppliers are assigned to this All-Star International business unit group. All right, so maybe we've gone through the list and we've already associated everyone that's already using another plant on our instance, and so now we're just ready to maybe enter in manually a supplier here. So we just click the Add button, and we give it a name. And we'll give it a location. And we'll give it a vendor code. And we give them the time zone, what time zone they're located in. Maybe the supplier's in the Eastern time zone. And they're going to ship using Ultriva, so we'll leave that there. I should probably choose our label over here. We'll do the supplier 4x6 label. All right, next we come to the user configuration. So one nice thing when you're adding a new supplier here, you can grant yourself as the supplier administrator. So what this means is once we get this saved, then once we log out and log back in, we would have access to this particular supplier business unit once we go to Applications, Supplier. So that's what the Grant Yourself Administrator does. All right, and again, like with the users, anything with the red star here, we have to fill in. And all right. And now we are ready to go ahead and save this supplier. All right, once we save the supplier, we do have a few options. We could set up shipping rules, and we do have a shipping rule webinar out there in case anyone needs to learn about shipping rules. We could set up the supplier's calendar if we know that. But really what we really want to do here is add the supplier user. So we'll go ahead and click Next to add our supplier user. And I'm not sure of this person's email address, so I'm just going to put a $sign. If you're not sure, put a $sign, and that will prevent any errors from occurring. And you can come back in and fill that in later if you wish. I can leave the time zone the same if we know the supplier is also in the Eastern time zone, the same as the supplier. So we'll just leave that as is. And we put in our username, the login name. And next we choose our account. So this person is going to be the supplier administrator, and then they can add any other supplier users at their facility. All right, so we will go ahead and check mark that user must change password at next login as well. And we'll go ahead and save that. All right, and this looks just like what we were just discussing when we were adding users for the plant, because you have these same options for showing the disabled and locked and disabling the supplier user as well. All right, and this is all well and good if you just have one or two suppliers to add, but maybe you have 7 or 8 to add, and you're going to do this in on your test site, and then you need to do this on the live site as well. You might not want to take the time to enter all of this manually. We do have that data load available in case you do not have the integration. So if we click on Admin and we go to Tools and Data Load, and we have the supplier data load here. Just like the other one, we can click here to download the sample file to see what the headers have to be and what the data is supposed to look like. And here is what the supplier data load file needs to look like, where we have our plant code, our supplier code or vendor code, the name, address, city, state, zip, some that information that we were just entering. And just like the other one, we do have a file already preloaded. So let me bring this up here. So we do have a supplier code, supplier load file all ready to go. So we have our plant code here. We have our vendor code here, our names, address, and supplier. So we're going to deal with these two numbers here in just a moment. So we'll kind of keep track of these vendor codes. All right, so we have our file, we have it ready to go. We do the file, save as, and then same thing, we want to choose the save as type. We want it to be this text tab delimited from the drop-down. Okay, and we give it our name and yes, and yes, we want to keep it in the same text format. Okay. All right, so now we have that. Now we can browse and we find our file here. And this is our supplier file. And we are open and we upload. All right, so these are our, this is our information. That piece looks good. We'll click next. All right, and we get a chance to look at it one more time before it's finalized here. Just to spot check here, everything still looks good. And we can go ahead and finish. All right, and so now we need to double check to see what happened. We can go to integration, batch job status, and then we choose the supplier sync here, today's date again, and show report. Okay, and we do have just the one batch job that we've uploaded today, and we can have a look here to see what happened. All 4 of our suppliers, status message says that these were successfully updated, successfully added, I mean. All right, so that looks good. And so now we can double check. We can go here to admin supplier. And we do have our new suppliers showing up here. And we may have another one here on the next page, yes. All right, so we have our suppliers uploaded. And so now maybe we want to add our supplier users. And this, we can use that same supplier, the same user load. So admin, tools, data load, user load. I do have one more file here. So this is my regular user load. This is the one we have already done. Let me find my user load file for my suppliers. All right, here we go. These could have been in the exact same file, but when we did the users, we didn't have our suppliers added yet, so this would have failed. So I separated this out. So as long as for this business code, if you put your supplier code here, then this will add this user under that supplier. And so you may have 10 or 15 users at your plant, plus some suppliers as well. You can upload them using this data load process. So we'll do this one real quickly. We'll just browse, and this one is the one for user data load supplier users. All right. So this shows us our business code. It shows us our information. We'll do next. We'll do finish. We'll double check. We'll make sure these did get added. We'll go to our integration batch job status. We'll check out our users again, and we'll see what happened with these two. So it does say they completed. So we'll double check this here. It does say these were successfully added to these vendor codes, the 90210 and the 8675309. So we can just double check that here. If we go to admin supplier, and we can look at our 8675309 supplier and look at users. Right here's our user. They were successfully added. So this can be a time-saving device if you have a few users that you need to load. All right, and now we have our users and suppliers all set. We're ready for our items.
Perfect. So when we're ready to add an item to Ultriva, after we've got our suppliers done, we can do that by going through the admin menu again, and then going to the item option. And very similar to the user screen or the supplier screen, we're going to click the Add button. And then there's a few fields that we need to fill out here about those items. The first being, what's our item number? You know, what item number are we trying to set up? Typically this information is going to come directly from the ERP. Then we'll fill out our description, our price, and then our handling time. So handling time is a subset of our lead time. It represents the amount of time that it takes to go from your dock into your stock. So that would encompass the receipt process as well as some warehousing processes, maybe even QA approval. So we can populate that with a number of days, maybe just 1 day for us. We need to select our category. In this category, your options are either Kanban, forecast, or virtual. Virtual is also a form of Kanban. You know, if you're curious about the differences between virtual and Kanban or standard Kanban, we did do a webinar on that last month. There's some good information in there. We'll call this part, we want it to be Kanban, so we're going to do a physical scan. And then our reorder cards win. Our options here are either open box or empty box. Open box means that when you take the first piece out of the box, the system is going to release a card to the supplier to replenish it. Whereas empty box, once you take the last piece from the box, then you're going to issue the order. So typically in an open box scenario, you're going to have one less Kanban card in your loop. We'll leave this part as open box. Then we need to assign an item coordinator. So who is responsible for this item? We can just hit space and it will bring up a list of users. Then we need to jump down to our usage information. So because this is a Kanban part, it's really important that we put in what our usage per day is. We can say that we use 30 pieces per day. We also need our safety stock, or in Ultriva's case, safety time. We don't hold safety stock in a quantity. We hold it in days because it's dynamic. So as your usage per day fluctuates and you update that, your safety stock will be proportionate to your usage. Then we need our quantity on card. This is our lot size or our box quantity. So this is the number that we're expecting to have on one label. Once we've done this, we will switch over to the supplier tab. And now we need to establish the supplier to item or item to supplier relationship. So we need to pick a supplier. We can push space again here and it will bring up a list of suppliers, or you can start typing the supplier's name. We could override the supplier item number in the description. Those are being populated from the previous screen, but if your supplier wants you to put their information in, you certainly can. Then the next field here says minimum order cards. This is like your multiple order quantity. So if you have to order 3 boxes of something every time you place an order, we know that our lot size is 25, but we need to order 3. We could populate this field with a 3. And Ultriva would wait for 3 cards to be consumed before it went and created a purchase to the supplier. This will also affect the number of Kanban cards that you have in your loop. Then our card allocation. Let's say that we have 2 suppliers for an item and we send half of our purchase orders to one supplier and half to another. In this field, to support that, we could put in a 50%, so that Ultriva would automatically, as you released cards, maintain that percentage of allocation. For this scenario, we just have one single source, so we're going to leave that as 100. Then we need to add our supplier user. So who at the supplier is responsible? We can just push a space again and bring up all the users. Then our lead time. So this is another lead time field or parameter in Ultriva, and this lead time field represents the amount of time it takes the supplier to prepare the parts to be shipped. So everything from purchase order received or demand signal acknowledged to ready for shipment. Then we have our transit time, and this is the amount of time it takes to go from your supplier's dock to your dock. The last field on the screen that we definitely need to be aware of is this very bottom option here. It says check this box if the release cards need to wait till PO is created. If Ultriva is expected to enter a purchase order into your ERP system, this box has to be checked. If it's not checked, then that integration is not going to happen. So now that we've got these fields filled out, we will click Save. And we didn't get any errors. It didn't say that we missed any fields. That's great. So we have a couple of options here. We could go and assign an additional supplier. We were discussing if we had 2 suppliers or a dual source, we could go create that second item to supplier relationship. But for this scenario, we don't. So our next step is going to be set up the cards. This is a Kanban item, so we need to create that Kanban loop. The most important field on this screen is you need to tell Ultriva how much inventory you have on hand when you're starting this loop. Reason being, if you have 75 pieces on hand, you don't need to order 75 pieces from your supplier. You only need to order the balance of the loop. So when we put this in, we'll say that we have 75, and we'll go ahead and click Next. And we can see that the system is calculating that we need 10 cards to support our demand for our total lead time. Down here at the bottom left, we can see that the system says we have 3 cards that are going to be created to represent your on-hand inventory. So that means because we told that we had 75 pieces, it's putting 3 boxes worth of material on the shelf, and it's only going to order the balance, the 7 cards that it calculated that we need to make up our total 10 cards. As long as we're happy with this, we can go ahead and click Next. And this screen will come up. For most customers, Ultriva is integrating with your ERP system, so there's nothing that you need to do on this screen. It's just telling you that it's going to release 7 cards to the supplier. So we'll go ahead and click Finish. And then it's going to take us to the cards list for this item that we just created. And we can see that we have 3 cards on hand, and we have 7 cards in the waiting for PO status. So this is all well and good. We just added 1 item to the system. But let's say that we have, maybe 5 items that we want to add. Do we need to do that every time for every item? And the answer is no. We can use, again, a data load utility to speed this up. So we get to that by going through the admin menu and then to Tools, back to the data load section. And then the top right option here is item data load. So we'll go ahead and click that. And again, you have the option to download a sample file. So we'll go ahead and click that. open it so you can see what the sample file looks like. So we can see here that there are a few more columns that need to be populated with data than the other data loads that we showed you earlier today. But all of these fields pertain to the same things that we populated when we created our one single item. We have created a file for today's webinar with some good data in it. So we'll go across a few of these more important fields. You can see we have our item number in there. We do have our plant code. The plant code is very important. That tells Ultriva where it needs to load this item. So you can put a work center code in there or the plant code, but if that's wrong, the item won't be loaded into the correct business unit. Then we have our plant user code, who is responsible for that part. And then we have our usage per day and our safety time. Our quantity on card, that's our lot size. We have our lead time, as well as the vendor code and the transit time for that specific vendor. We have our handling time for the item. And then in column M, we didn't tell the system what this value was until we set up the cards. But in the file, you need to tell Ultriva how much inventory you have right now. And that's, again, the same reason why we told that we had 75 pieces for the part that we just created, was so that we didn't create orders for more product than we needed. The reorder point is just open box or empty box, and then we have our item category, which is, again, the Kanban forecast or virtual. And then if we scroll to the right, we have in column AC, the integration has PO released. That's the box that we were talking about on the item to supplier screen that says whether or not Ultriva needs to integrate with the ERP for PO creation. Once we've got this file filled out, we're comfortable with it, we can go ahead and save it, and we save it the same way as we did the other files. We'll save it as a type of text tab delimited. And then we're ready to go back to Ultriva. But before we do this, there is one setting that we should be aware of before we actually load our data. And we're going to look at this by going to My Account and My Business Unit Configuration. And then in the card section here, there are two settings that determine the behavior of the item sync. The first is the third one that we're highlighting. It says, what is the item sync? What should it do for a Kanban item if it's being added to the system? Do you want it to set up the Kanban loop for you? So if we're adding a new item and we're calling it Kanban or virtual, the system can create the cards or the loop for you while it's loading the data. So if this is set to on, the system will automatically set up those cards. If that's set to off, it's not going to create any cards for the Kanban items. The second option is, let's say we're updating information or parameters for an existing item. So an item that's already been loaded into Ultriva, but maybe we're updating our safety stock or our lead time. Do we want Ultriva to update the loop size if the Kanban parameters change and we're loading new information through that item file? You have a few different options here. You can say that we don't want Ultriva to update the loop size for an existing item ever. Or we want it to update the loop size either up or down. So let's say if our usage increases, then we can increase the number of cards, or likewise if our usage decreases, we mark some cards for destruction. Or do we want Ultriva only to increase the loop and to log the decrease? So we're never going to make the loop smaller through item sync, we'll only make it bigger. For ours, we have it set to both increase and decrease, and on a new item, we're going to create the cards. So knowing that, we know what our expected behavior should be for the item sync, so we're going to go ahead and load our data. We'll go back to the item data load, go to Browse, and we'll select our item file, and we'll click on Upload. So the system shows us our preview. We can see all the data that it found in our file. Once we're comfortable that the data is correct, we have the correct number of items here. None of the information looks incorrect. We can click on Next. So the system is saying we imported 7 items here. Again, you have one more chance to basically confirm that your information or your data looks correct. And then we can click Finish. Now the system says that it's saving the data. It's going to be creating cards for these Kanban items because we have it set to do that. And these are new items. So we're going to go to the batch job status here and see what the system did when we ran this item sync or this item data load. So we can see our batch. We can see that it says we have 7 completed records. We don't have any failed. If we click on that 7, we can see for each item what the system did. So we can see that for our first item there, it added the part, or it created it. It set up the loop size. It calculated that we needed 3 cards. It put 2 of those cards on hand and is going to create 1 order for the supplier. So for each of these parts, we can see what the result was of adding that item. Now that we know our parts are there, we can also confirm that we can see them by going to that admin item screen. And we can see that we now have 18 items. We only had 11 before. So there are all the new parts that we added. So we're good. So those are the 2 ways that you can use to add items to Ultriva.
All right, how are we doing on questions, Nandu?
We have 3 questions came after that. The first question is, if we use supplier upload, how do you determine the label type, or is that a manual update after supplier is added? Also, to add yourself as a supplier admin. It's a good point. Currently what we are doing, it is not available in the upload. We can add that into the template in the future release. So it's a very good point. It is noted. So definitely we will add it to the next release onto that. The next question is, when we set up a supplier, how do we establish shipping rule? Actually, there is a separate webinar on shipping rules. I put the link in the answer session. You can go and look at that. And if you need any help, we can definitely help you out on that. The last question in here, how do you identify the field header name for custom field during an item data upload? Typically, all the data load, data load informations, the document, the field name, all those things are available in the portal. If you go to help.ultrivalms.com/doc, docs. So if you put that in, so then you can see every one of the integration touch points as well as the flat file. Either you do it through UI or you are sending that information through your ERP system. All those informations are available in that. So typically, to answer to the point on the custom field, most of the custom fields are, if you want to add it to the system, you need to put ebj_rt params dot the field name. If you add it, for an example, if it is a sub-inventory, ebj_rt params dot sub-inventory is the header name. And if you populate that value will get uploaded into the system. So you can see that how you can add the extra fields and other things into the system in the document. Okay, so that's all the question I have.
Okay, all right. And so we'll just also point this out. So if we go to help, we scroll down for our training webinars. And here under this admin section, we do have the shipping rules. So there's our shipping rules webinar. The most recent training webinar is always going to be at the top. So our last one that we did was virtual Kanban. Probably before Monday of next week, we'll move this virtual Kanban down into the list, and this webinar will be replaced here for our most recent one. So this is our training webinars site. All right, so let's jump back to our slide presentation. So just as a quick review, this is the order of the steps that things should go in. And we did hit all of the ones that did not say prior webinar. We have touched on that today. And unless we have another question or two that came in, this is all that we have at this time. And we want to definitely thank you for spending part of your day with us. And we hope to see you back in September.